My name is Jacob Navok, and I am CEO at Genvid Technologies. I used to be in finance and consulting in another lifetime. I'm very glad I'm no longer that way. I joined Square Enix in June 2010. I worked directly for their CEO at that time, Yoichi Wada, and I was responsible for the group's worldwide business development. During that time, I was also responsible for their cloud gaming initiatives, so I built their cloud gaming subsidiary, Shinra Technologies. And then a few years ago, I started this company, Genvid, with a lot of my former colleagues from Square Enix. So these photos are a few of my favorite hits with Kojima-san and Tim Sweeney and the others. The company itself, Genvid, Latin, gen is birth, vid is view. The idea was to combine the words and show the birth of a new format of viewing. We are now close to 40 people, which amazes me. And we've got offices in New York, Montreal, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and soon to be Europe. And most of the team are game developers coming from Square Enix, Ubisoft, EA, etc. We are backed by some great VCs, and we're very, very excited to be able to showcase at GDC this year a whole bunch of new content that's being built on top of the technology and showcasing new media formats. So today is kind of the debut of that. The team, as I mentioned, spread all across the world these days and quickly growing. We're hiring, so if you go to our website and go to genvidtech.com, you'll be able to find our open positions. And as a company, what we provide is a toolkit, an SDK, that is cross-platform that allows for interactivity so you can write once and deploy across multiple infrastructures, different game engines, and of course, different streaming platforms. I am very happy to answer more questions about the tech, but I want to focus on the content today and the vision for the company. So I'm going to move through that part quickly, and you're welcome to come to the booth. And also to a session that we're going to do at 2 o'clock today with our CTO, where he's going to take you through the technology and building games on top of Genvid for interactive streaming. And in terms of what we've been doing, we've been quite active the last few years. We did a lot of partnerships with Twitch recently, and they did this fantastic blog encouraging developers who want to generate extensions and interactive streams to work with us. We were on stage there at TwitchCon as well, and we've been in a whole bunch of Wall Street Journal, VentureBeat, etc. articles. So at least a little bit more information about us is getting out there. Now, what I want to get into today in the start of this talk is our vision and where we think the industry is going. But we don't just want to talk about our vision, we want to show it to you live. And to do that, I want to introduce a person who's very important to me. I used to work for him for very many years. He is the only person from the game industry to receive the blue ribbon from the Emperor of Japan, Yoichi Wada himself, the former CEO of Square Enix, who came from Japan for this today. So thank you very much for coming, Wada-san.
ゲーム実況をはじめとしてストリーマーが登場して以来、ゲーム会社やテクノロジーカンパニーはあたかもメディア企業のように振る舞っています。他方、メディア企業もゲーム会社やテクノロジー企業のような振る舞いをしています。ゲームとメディアが両者融合してきている。このライブストリーミングの夜明けである。こう現在を考えることができると思っています。
So I'm going to translate for Wada-san, as I often did for many years. With the advent of streaming, we are seeing technology and gaming companies act more like media companies, and media companies act more like technology and gaming companies. The result is going to be a proliferation of content and opportunity for developers.
このライブストリーミングという新しいジャンルの誕生は非常に多くのチャンスをもたらすんですけれども、でも本当にこの本質が何かということをちゃんと考えなきゃいけない。実はクラウドゲームというのはこのライブストリーミングの最も分かりやすい先行事例と位置づけることができると思っています。
The question that we as game creators need to ask ourselves is what ecosystems do we want to participate in and what kind of content do we want to make? This week's GDC has seen several cloud gaming announcements focused on the player, or on streamers becoming players, but I believe there is an audience of non-players who don't necessarily want the complexity of a console game.
この我々の提案するノンプレイヤーという 一つのカテゴリーですけれども、この市場をどのように活性化するか、そのために我々は新しいコンテンツデザインやそれをサポートするテクノロジーを提供しなきゃいけないと思っています。それが今、Genvidが皆さんに提供しようとしている価値です。
So as I mentioned, we believe that there is a new opportunity for game developers to begin to monetize and create content for what we call the non-player. By creating these experiences designed for large audiences that are live and focused on engagement rather than skill, we can provide new revenue opportunities for the industry. And us as a company are trying to build tools that allow developers to create those kind of experiences. That is where we at Genvid make our mark in streaming.
非常に重要なのは、ノンプレイヤーがどのようにコンテンツに関わるかということの提案なんですが、これを具体化してくれたのが、今日プレゼンテーションしてくださるいくつかのデベロッパー、スタジオたちです。
The real question at the end of the day is, what kind of content truly makes its mark with the non-player? And the answer to that, or at least the hint toward that, we're going to begin to see in the content that's being shown by the studios presenting here today.
今日のプレゼンテーションから皆様方がこのライブストリーミングという新しいジャンルに向けての可能性を感じたり、あるいはヒントを得ていただいたなら、ぜひGenvidのテクノロジーを活用してこの新しいコンテンツの開発に挑戦していただきたいと思っております。
We hope that you get, at the very least, a hint, if not a strong understanding, of what is possible through live streaming. And we think that you'll be able to build these new experiences using Genvid technologies. If you're interested in it, we highly encourage you to look more at it and to be able to start building and thinking further. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Wada-san. So as Wada-san says, the core thesis for our company is that games and media are merging. Effectively, that is what esports is. It is game companies looking at media and saying, we can create experiences, broadcasts for people who are watching games. We can create formats of entertainment that aren't necessarily about full immersion into a game, but are also about the media formats around it. And what's interesting, and we speak to a lot of media companies these days, is that every single one of them, when it comes to streaming, is thinking deeply about interactivity. It's the reason that Netflix is touting its success with Bandersnatch, and it's also the reason that Netflix, in their recent financials, said that Fortnite was a bigger competitor than HBO. Every single one of those media companies, whether it's Disney or Comcast, whether it's the sports broadcast companies, they're all looking at our space and thinking about where interactivity plays into their businesses in the future. And that is a huge opportunity for us as game creators and game developers to expand our audience base, our platform base, and the way in which we design content. We believe that interactive media is going to double the size of the video game industry. I love this slide. It came from my friend Eust at Superdata. I'm always grateful to him for the stuff that he gives me. The issue today when it comes to esports or other formats that game developers think about is that you're mostly focused on player. You're thinking about how to monetize your player or market to your player or get people who are watching to play more. And of course, that is the core business of game development, and this makes a lot of sense. But we think that it's the viewership, the lean-back opportunity that is actually new to the market, and that's going to grow and expand it. And we were wondering when we started this company what tools were out there to help facilitate those content experiences, and more importantly, if we gave the tools to developers, what kind of content would they create? We saw in particular a gap in entertainment. This is a very interesting thing. In the physical sports world, people don't really make big businesses around selling bats and balls. They make big businesses through broadcast rights and television. And of course, there's a stadium business that's in between. The game industry is fundamentally operating on the opposite of that value chain, which is to say, Fortnite itself makes more money than watching Fortnite today. But nobody's really focusing on what that participant ecosystem means, about thinking about cheering and actively supporting and potentially even influencing what it is that you're seeing on the screen. And that's where we want to help creators make content for that type of audience and that type of experience. And in fact, we think that when you begin to turn every viewer into a participant, not a player, but a participant in the content, you can create a very large new category, because people who don't have a lot of time, who are busy, who don't necessarily have the skill or the moment to become immersed in something, may still want to engage, and we can begin to monetize that format of engagement. When we think about what's possible with interactive live streaming, we've come up with many different kinds of capabilities, from the audiences being able to drive key decisions to the audience being able to directly impact. And we've spoken as an industry a lot about what it means for viewers to become Hunger Games-like and support the players in real time, but the focus there is still on player. I'm thinking more about how do we entertain the viewers themselves? How do we create content that makes that viewership entertaining? And this is fundamentally different than what we see with, for example, Bandersnatch, which is a choose your own adventure, the emphasis being on your adventure. What I'm interested in are live moments, are live pieces of entertainment where the audience's decision is the narrative, which is to say what the audience did in that episode of content, or what the audience decided collectively and worked together on, became the adventure for everybody. And I think that that is the new kind of challenge that us as game developers should be very excited to try to solve, because it's all about massive, live, interactive experiences. And so this becomes a new media format, and that's why we titled the talk today, Interactive Live Streaming and the Future of Media, because that is where media and games are merging, at interactive live streaming. There is no more bifurcation between player and viewer. You don't separate them. You merge the experience. You turn it into a scale that allows, at multiple levels of engagement, somebody to interact how they want to interact. Do they want to play? They can. Do they want to lean back and watch? They can. Do they want to get information and statistics? Do they want to be able to cheer and support? Do they want to be able to directly interact and impact what they're watching? By allowing them to engage how they want, that entire willingness to pay spectrum that up until now is bifurcated between $60 game and free with ad support becomes a new market opportunity for game developers. And we think that this is where the future of media is going. So I want to introduce the first studio on stage. This is Pipeworks Studio from Eugene, Oregon, and Hal Milton from Pipeworks is going to speak about their game, which I'm really, really excited about, Project Eleusis. So thank you very much, Hal.
Is there something? Oh, no, there's not. It's on. I'm a moron. Thank you so much, Jacob. I'm gonna step down here because maybe I can avoid the camera. My name is Hal. I'm the design director at Pipeworks Studios, currently sweat and rain-soaked, but glad to be here. Pipeworks Studios is one of the better-kept secrets, I think, in the game industry. This is our 20th year in business. We're located in Eugene, Oregon. We have around 100 people internally and around another 40 people outside of that. We've been working in games. If you turn on an Xbox or an Xbox 360, we made those boot ROMs. We built the Godzilla franchise in the early aughts. We made Deadliest Warrior. We're now working on a little game called Terraria. And when we, a few years ago, got interested in the streaming space, we worked on a little game called Super Fight with Skybound Entertainment and with Jack Dyer Games. And Super Fight, which is still available, allows 4 people streaming to argue over which of their heroes would win in a fight, and then a Twitch audience can vote on that. Very primitive, very initial steps, but it was our first test to see what the space was like. Our new test, the one that we're leading towards, the one that's streaming live right now behind us, is what we're excited about, what we've been moving towards. With Super Fight, we engage the viewer, turn them into a participant by having them vote on the action. But what if the viewers had access to an island running no matter what? There's no agent, there's no player that's driving this gameplay experience. There's 10 AIs that are driving their own experience. And all the viewers in this match can start to interact with these elements on an individual basis. This UX that you're seeing on the screen, the UI that you're interacting with here, this is the stream layer. This is not coming from the client. He's interacting with the Genvid layer running on top of this stream. And it looks ship quality, and it looks like our game because it is our game. We're not having to bolt on somebody else's UX or somebody else's UI. But let's take a look at what we're seeing here. He's selected more and more from the stream view. We can see more and more needs and goals. There's basically a little Maslow's hierarchy of needs that's running in an AI planner system, which is one of the most, we're very excited about our variation on our goal-oriented action planning system that we built. Our characters not only are pursuing these goals, that's going to be, they're driven and weighted by their needs. Their needs are then fulfilled by the things that they can sense on the island with their vision and their memory, all of which are fallible. And when all else fails, they can at least murder each other. And that's kind of a fun point. So the level of interaction that the streamers have is not only to pick which of the horses in the race they want to follow, but also, as they scan around the scene, they can trigger drops. They can trigger drops that they vote on because they think that Agent X on the screen might die, and they want to drop a health pack. Or in this case, they want to drop a Judas goat. Now, a Judas goat is a goat that's a happy little guy that when he gets spawned, finds the nearest person and then explodes. This leads to a whole bunch of shenanigans. But in order to get that Judas goat onto the island, you had to vote and pay up your little credits. And other people can start paying credits for other votes to try and stymie what you're doing there. Oh, we just lost a bunch of guys here. That's a darn shame. But I need to continue to emphasize that everything he's interacting with is happening on that Twitch layer right now. It's really, really exciting what we're going to be able to do as we take our viewers, show them a fun Survivor-like experience in which they start to get invested into the characters themselves over time. And frankly, we think we've created the new form of scheduled entertainment for people to show up, have a dog and pony horse race, and then bet, have fun, and keep going. We have a whole bunch of other ideas that we're building towards with Project Eleusis here. Wish we could speak about them right now, but we're more than happy when come down to the booth, talk to our lead designer, our other partner designer, content designer, and they will be able to go into detail about what we're seeing here. In short, though, as you select these areas to drop Zone C, there'll be these drones that come in. The drones, if they're bringing nothing but good things, the AI might be really thrilled about them. If they're doing nothing but dropping Judas goats, the AI will learn and will avoid these drones. The AI in general will eventually need to, we don't have companionship in this one because we wanted them to kill each other responsibly. But they will join together, they'll form their own groups, they will try and survive, and our job is to bring out the drama of that, to give everybody their ability to participate in a weekly episode of Survivor in which they can figure out not just to remove someone from the island, but to drive them insane, or to or make folks fall in love. Let's be happy. Let's make positive things happen on the island. We can do that too. It doesn't have to be all death all the time, although that's pretty entertaining. Genvid has allowed us to do this and saved us so much time. Having built the super fight with built-in streaming, some interaction, we knew what heavy lifting was going to be done. We spent the time doing the research, and then Genvid popped up with a functioning solution that we were able to get up and running in a matter of months to the level of fidelity you see right here. And that's not an exaggeration or hyperbole. This is a few months, and we're up running with a viewer interactable participant stream in which they can directly affect somebody's remote client. It's pretty fun stuff, and thanks, Jacob, for giving us the opportunity to work with it.
Thank you so much, Hal. I really appreciate it. When I first saw Project Eleusis, it blew my mind because, you know, I love The Sims, but in The Sims, I'm the god. And I was always curious if there were a million gods and they were all on Twitch. Would they create hell or would they create utopia? What kind of result would come out of it? And I think that this kind of content showcases the power of large-scale interaction and thinking about what it means to have interaction where I don't need to be skilled in this. I don't need a controller and complexity and to spend hours learning how to do something. I can just engage in it and it becomes intuitive to me as somebody in the audience. And the next studio who's going to be showcasing this type of experience also has been thinking about this a long time, not just from the perspective of core gamers, but from the perspective of kids. So I want to be able to introduce another studio up here on stage while I try to get the, here it is, always tricky with double screens. Slides working, Catapult Studio from New York City. So please welcome Greg Wagner. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Greg from Catapult Studios. We're located in New York City. As a studio, our goals have always been we want to make interactive entertainment experiences that inspire creativity. We've always been heavily focused on creativity. Our game is Chicken, where players build fantastic creatures out of blocks that then come to life. We're currently live on Steam Early Access, so please check us out. So when we built Chicken, we were blown away by the content streamers and YouTubers were creating in our game. And it made us ask ourselves the question, how could we reach out to those viewers and create an interactive entertainment experience for them as well? We wanted them to be able to engage with the game. From that question led to the creation of Chicken Arena, where these two a number of creatures will battle each other in a tournament style. So in Chicken Arena, we wanted the viewers to feel like they were in a gladiator arena, or maybe more accurately, like they were in a chicken-flavored WWE event. So at the start of the event, a streamer will pick this team and then passes all of the controls really over to the viewers. Viewers get to vote for the creature. Who are they going to pick to send out next into battle? They can clap and cheer for their creatures to help power them up during the fight or maybe save them from being knocked out. And then between rounds, we have a corner moment where users can throw items into the arena to heal and recharge your creature between rounds. So we can see right now other people are currently watching down on the floor, so they're also voting. And if you have the opportunity, please come down and check us out on the floor. You were muted, so I'm going to talk over it.
No worries.
Thanks. Okay, so we built Chicken Arena from the ground up with the goals of making a viewer interactive experience. And we wanted it to be more than just likes and emotes, which is a lot of what we were seeing in our streaming at the time. Then we found out about Genvid. And Genvid technology made this all totally possible for us. It allowed us to not actually have to worry about how are we going to even build this system or get to this level of interactivity. We could focus entirely on what is the user going to do, what is the viewer going to do, are they going to clap, how are they going to clap and cheer for these creatures. The Genvid SDK for us acts as a middle layer between the game and the Twitch extension. Don't want to lose my spot here, sorry. So in building this, we kind of had three main design challenges or lessons that we learned. So the first was the viewers inherently know less about the game than a player would. So whatever UI we had to create had to be really simple and clear and understandable. You know, okay, there's a big button there that says clap, and I can click that, and claps happen. It has to be immediately understandable. We also had the big push. So viewers are, by default, passive. How do we get them to care about these creatures and to become active participants, not just viewers? They're now participants. How do we push them to do that? How do we make them care about the creatures? Then lastly, we had to design a whole new camera system to be viewer-centric for these new participants. It needed to be not only capture all of the action that's happening, but we needed close-ups of the creatures during key moments like you saw when we had that rally moment before the creature blew up. And we wanted to capture that drama. So it's really important, not only you need to see the action, that drama needs to come through because this is a viewer-participant experience. So now we're going to skip from the live stream here and go to kind of the full breadth of the experience that we're trying to create, which is going to be starring one of our partner streamers, Brett Ultimus. And so you can see what it's going to be like with streamcasting.
Number 3 has finally been defeated. Your support is what won us. I mean, there's no other way we were going to win this. I'm going to be honest with you. We've won the tournament, but the war still continues on. Look at this good boy. Look at this good boy. May have not gotten any dates in high school, but man, everyone loves him now.
Okay, so Brett here kind of represents the next level of this for us, where the streamer is now also another participant in it. He's the ringmaster. He is directing the mob, but the mob is still in control. So for this project, we were able to achieve all this with 2 developers working on it. Really largely in part with all of Genvid's support and help. The SDK integration was super easy and super smooth, so we spent almost all of our time really focused on what is the viewer experience that we're creating. Genvid collaborated with us on everything from design to full implementation of everything, and we simply couldn't have done it without you guys. We're very thankful for all of your support with this.
We thank you.
So looking ahead, we've been iterating this with our live streamer, and we're looking to make this into a much bigger event. We want to have a much larger event on Twitch and move as well forward into YouTube. And really working on this project has us super excited about what are we going to do next? How are we going to take our chicken property and create more shows and more interactive, this new interactive experience for viewers to work with? It's just very, very exciting to be part of. So again, check us out on the floor if you have any tech questions or you want to know, like, okay, why is that a majestic feather cat? Please check us out on the booth, and we'd love to talk to you. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you very much. What I love about Chicken is they've really thought about what an audience, in this case children and other people who want to be children, love in terms of content. The ability to cheer and have that cheer affect the chicken, the character in real time, the ability to feed that and see the result of that feedback, and even in the UI itself. In the UI of the game, that's personalized through our system to every individual viewer. So you're seeing your claps, you're seeing your cheers, and the effect and the information back to them. The next company that I want to bring up, Stats Helix, has worked with us on a series of events. They were here last year with us, and at that time we were just demoing, and now we've gone through several big live streams together. So I want to welcome their CTO, Moritz Huling. Thank you.
Hi. Thanks for introducing us. A little bit about us first. Stats Helix is a technology company. We're not a game studio. We focus on game data. In every game, every second, there's thousands of data points created, but in most games, they're dropped immediately after, and the data is never used. So we make cool stuff with that game data that is dropped, that is then not dropped. Over a year ago, we found Genvid and started to build something together on our CSGO platform, and have since then worked with them together on multiple projects. So let's take a look at what we've built with Genvid
Great.
technology.
Bring that up now.
Yeah.
In the wrong window.
Yeah.
Technology. Hold on. Too many different things need to be moved around. All right, here we go.
So the first event we did is the London Major with Face It, which is one of the big tournament organizers, and we have features such as an interactive mini-map that you can open yourself. Then the second event we did was ESL Katowice, where we improved on that, had more stability, more settings options, and a cool tutorial. I'll talk about that later. And then the next thing you'll see is we improved on that even further for this year's GDC. And now we have cheering, which is something that Jacob always wants.
Yes.
And you can basically cheer for your favorite players, and you can show that the player that you like is on fire right now. So what basically the experience is we replace the CSGO HUD that already CSGO has and render it completely on Twitch, so you can click on everything. So you can click on a player and see their statistics and basically gauge how good are they. You can open the mini-map and you can see a tactical overview of the map, which gives you a better understanding of what's actually happening from a tactical standpoint. Because in CSGO, there's so many things going on, and you only see one perspective. Sure, you have normally a radar on the top left, but if you're really interested, that doesn't really tell you too much. And then if you watch a stream, you often have to wait until the broadcaster brings up the scoreboard. Now you can bring up the scoreboard yourself. So these are all actual problems that enthusiasts that love the game have when watching the game, and we basically try to solve these problems. So we have run 2 events with this. So basically what this talk is mainly is basically looking at how well did these events go. And yeah, so the first thing that we learned is teaching viewer interaction is hard. So if you close this window, both of them,
Yeah.
that will know.
Yeah, I got it. There we go.
No, I wanted to close the minimap.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry for that. No, but if you close the minimap, it looks just like it would look when you have the game open. And this confuses viewers because they come to the stream, even when it's free, and see, wait, what is this? Like, this is not a premium thing. So the first thing we built is, which you have seen briefly, a tutorial for the IEM Katowice event. So now you have a tutorial and basically can see and get the UI explained. But now there's some edge over, so oops. During the first event especially, we also had stability problems, both with bugs in our software, which are always hard to find and embarrassing, as well as some small bugs in Genvid software that meant that sometimes streams went down. This was especially bad because we had agreed to host 11 channels with all the 10 player perspectives, and that was maybe a bit too big to chew for us for the very first event. But we went through it very well. During the last week of the event, it was mostly stable, but in the beginning it was a bit of a nightmare. But we've learned a lot. The next event, IEM Katowice, was mostly stable. We had a few problems, a few hiccups, but in most days, especially the final days, we just started the stream in the morning and it ran perfectly. There's one last thing that we would like to add, besides cheering, which is our biggest wish, is to add more production to this. Because in an esports stream, you usually see player webcams. Between the rounds, you see a camera panning over the players, out over the crowd. You see, you hear the casters, you hear the crowd cheering. And it is all a bit limited when you're only using the pure Genvid SDK in the game stream. So you saw a webcam overlay. That was basically the maximum that Genvid could do. And that's not enough. But we're working together with them and to integrate their studio with this, and with their studio, we hope to bring this. So this was our biggest pain point, and is still our biggest pain point, that we don't have like a great production value, because esport companies invest millions into production, and this is currently lost, but this is coming, and we hope to release it this year.
Yes.
And then we hope that we have a really great demo. So it has been a really successful year. We have been at the 2 biggest CSGO events in the last 6 months. And viewers have loved it. There's so much great feedback. We have learned so much. And we're happy to build more stuff with Genvid.
Thank you very much, Moritz. So over the last year, as Moritz said, we've been at the 2 largest Counter-Strike events that have taken place, and Counter-Strike is still probably the biggest esport in the world in terms of concurrent viewership, so not a small task to do. We were watching user feedback in real time. It was incredible. During the Face It Major, where we had all player perspectives plus the interactive map and broadcaster channel, we had one user say, "I've got 3 monitors, one showing the terrorists, one showing the counter-terrorists, and the other one just with the map up." So the big fans of the game and the broadcast really got into it, and we saw a lot of success stories out of it for the broadcasters and for the users, and they've been encouraging us to add more and more features, and so we hope to have a lot more for you later this year. The final game that we're going to be showcasing today is a game that I have known quite well for many years. It's by a well-known Japanese developer called Nakajima Kengo, who's literally landing right now at SFO and is going to be at our booth. He is the creator of the community engine in Japan, so he's very well known. He was at Enix. He worked with us on a variety of projects when we were working on cloud gaming at Square Enix. And I would like to introduce his partner on the project for what we've built this year at GDC, Shuichi Aizawa, who's going to talk about the work that we've done together and about this new game, Space Sweeper.
Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, so my name is Shuichi Aizawa, and I'm a JavaScript game developer. And just this January, I was brought on to make the Twitch extension for Space Sweeper. Well, Space Sweeper is a top-down, almost bullet hell-like shooter, where the player is exploring an alien world and trying to survive an onslaught of enemies. Originally, it was a cloud game where the level that you see is one continuous world with an insane amount of stuff going on. And many players could explore the world together simultaneously. This rebirth of Space Sweeper is no longer a cloud game. It'll run on your PC or Mac. And the many players have sort of been substituted by Twitch viewers. So as sorry. Jacob is acting as one of these Twitch viewers.
Correct, yes. So as Shu mentioned, originally it was built for the cloud. We've got a version now that can run on standard PCs, and that's going to be released very shortly on Steam and other platforms. We're also working on a new version for the cloud built on Parsec that's going to be coming out later this year. And the player's objective is, well, it's a very hostile planet. It's a bullet shooter with potentially thousands of pixels coming at the player at any given second. It can get far more chaotic than what you see on the screen. And every time the player kills an enemy, well, you can talk about it.
As the player shoots the enemies, you can see these purple swirly things get left behind. They are the enemy's souls. They're angry spirits that are angry for having been killed. And we call them anger points. Jacob can actually just collect these anger points by mousing over them.
So this is amazing because we're actually detecting what the viewer is mousing over live over the Twitch stream, and we're allowing every individual viewer to collect and generate the points through their own screen. It's basically a mini game on top of Twitch. So you can watch me mouse over the purple anger points that are being generated and collect all of them.
Yeah, so the APs are rendered in the Twitch extension by the browser. The player can't see them. And as the player moves and the camera moves, the APs are moving along with them so that they look like they're staying in the same place in the world. So Genvid allows this synchronization with the video frame, with the video and the Twitch extension at a per frame basis. And when I first heard about its capabilities, I thought it was pretty amazing. So as Jacob collects the APs, the APs are actually the currency for the game. So as he collects them, you can see the AP wallet go up in the upper left corner. And he can spend these APs to buy items from the store. There are guns and health items and power-ups. And as they go into inventory, he can select the item. And then you see a yellow cursor appear under his mouse. So he can choose the exact location in the game of where to send the items. And as he moves along, you can see the yellow cursor snap to the grid of the world. So like the APs, the cursor is being synchronized with the game video. And he can choose the exact location where to send them.
So we've never seen this kind of direct level of interaction before. The ability to pick the exact pixel that something gets sent to in the game is the level of synchronization and detail that I think anybody watching this on Twitch is going to have their mind blown over. The game allows for you to help. The game allows for you to troll. We call this the pay-to-troll system because if you're not getting enough anger points, you can actually buy those via bits. And the game also allows for you to help build around it. So for example, if we wanted to try to wall in the player as a group, we could wall in the player. There are Minecraft-like elements where you can help to build the world itself alongside it. So you could have viewers building while other viewers are attacking, while other viewers are helping. And it becomes this massive tug of war between the community and trying to figure out what's happening in real time. And this is, I think, very important because one of the big issues with live streaming and broadcast is that chat itself is chaotic. In other words, one of the reasons we were doing visual cheering with Counter-Strike is because when you watch the major, you can't even look at the chat. It's just a wall of very fast-scrolling text that is meaningless. But when you start to have visual cheering, visual effects, and visual reinforcement, you allow for a community to have, at mass scale, interactions that weren't possible before. So Shu, if you could talk very briefly about the amount of time that it took to work on the extension and any other experiences that you had in development, that would be great.
So as I said, I just started in January, so it's been about 2.5 months. What we've been able to do with all this synchronization has been pretty amazing, I thought. So as I said, the game can send the exact location of the APs to the overlay. The overlay can send the exact location of the items to the game. And Genvid allows this level of integration and synchronization.
Thank you very
That's
much,
really
Shu.
cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we have one final partner that we're going to bring up on the stage. This is not about content. This is about a new partnership that we've unveiled here at GDC, an R&D collaboration with Limelight Networks. And I'd like to introduce Chuck Jones from Limelight Networks to talk a little bit about what we're bringing to game developers in the future.
Oh, no. Yeah, there we go. All right, thank you, Jacob. So I'm Chuck. I'm from Limelight Networks. You've seen a lot of things here from Genvid, and I want to talk about my experience with Genvid because it started 5 months ago, and it's been a pretty amazing adventure. 5 months ago, my company was getting ready to bring out a brand new product. If you want to switch to the next slide. And this is on top of what we already do. So for those of you not familiar with Limelight Networks, we're a CDN. We're a content delivery network. We deliver game patches. We deliver bulk mail type items. We do streaming video. So we do over the top. We do live streaming. And one of the goals that we've been pushing for a couple of years now is how to get the latency of a stream down from 30 seconds, which it really was standard as of a year ago, to last year it dropped down to somewhere between 6 and 9 seconds. But how do we approach zero? And we're fortunate, in my company's case, that we have a global network that we own. It's ours, it's private, it's 40 terabits. We control every aspect of it, from where we have the data centers, how much capacity we have in the data centers, and who we choose to partner with. And this brings us some unique capabilities. So in December of last year, we were releasing a new product called real-time streaming, where we are actually going to deliver on the promise, sub-second delivery of streams. Now, for those of you who use Twitch, and I really don't usually like talking about companies, but they're not my competitor. Twitch uses technology like Limelight's to deliver the content. Now, they built some of it in-house, and they have others with their new parent company. But what we deliver is content. You create the content, you broadcast it to a central server, and then we replicate it out for you. You can create the content, not just in New York, send it to Denver, and have everyone in the US see it in a sub-second. You can generate the content in New York, send it to Singapore, and we can get it back to you in Denver, all in under half a second from the original timeline. And when you think about what that really brings to the streaming industry, and especially someone like Genvid, the potential is huge. Not only does real-time streaming, however, give you fast, it also gives you interactive. Every stream has not only a video and an audio channel, it also has a shared data channel, so that every viewer has access to that data channel. So you're no longer running a chat separate and distinct application like Discord or something separate from your gameplay. It's all interconnected and all time synchronized. And again, we're global scale. So with Genvid last November, we hadn't released our product yet. And here's a prospect that I'm being asked to come talk to named Genvid, and I meet Jacob for the first time. And Jacob spends about 5 minutes talking about what they're doing, and I'm already drooling. Here's a company that not only understands the benefits and value of low latency and then interactive data stream, they need it, we have it, great, where do we progress from here? And he showed me a demo, and it made me drool more, because at the time, I have an 8-year-old who's heavily into Fortnite, and I'm watching the streamers along with him. And so I'm truly, I was dumbfounded. Okay? I run labs at Limelight. I'm the one who prototyped real-time streaming, and here's the perfect user for it. He was the perfect guy. And so I got introduced to Jocelyn Uhl.
Yes.
I got it right. Jocelyn was one of the co-founders and I believe director of development.
Yep.
And Jocelyn and I started exchanging items back and forth. And of course, this is when the other boot dropped. And that was, yeah, you've got a great product and we know you're bringing it out in December, but we need other functionality. Here's a guy who already wants customized work. Like, great. But what they needed, I understood. And I have a development team that keeps shiny objects away from my core development team. And so we went off and looked at it, and we spent a couple of weeks, and I came back. What I thought was going to be easy to deliver wasn't. And I said, so this is early November. I said, give me till after the holidays. We'll figure something out. If I can get to you earlier, I will. And by the second week of January, we had 4 different potential ways to solve Genvid's issues with what we were providing. And I called Jocelyn and I said, I've got 4. One will take me a couple months to develop. The other one I think I can do in a couple hours. He said, well, let's try the one you can do in a couple hours. And we did. Next morning, he comes back and says, yep, works great, let's go. So here's a guy who actually took what we prototyped in a lab and set up for global distribution, and was able overnight, literally, to actually embed it into what Genvid was doing. So that was fantastic. And of course, when he comes back with quotes like these, the one I actually liked the most was I was having a pretty bad day mid-January, and I get this email from him, we have a problem. I think your streaming is a little too fast. Could you slow it down? I'm like, no, but that email got circulated pretty quickly within my company. So that's probably the first time I've ever heard that, although I've heard it a second time since. But it's been a fantastic working relationship with Genvid, with Jocelyn and Jacob. We certainly have clear goals that are driving us to the same type of solution. But I would point out to you, each and every one here, as you're developing your games or as you're working with Genvid, keep in mind that a Twitch or a YouTube or any of the others, we're not them. We're the guys who provide that global infrastructure for companies like that. And so if you want to control your monetization, you want to control how your users actually interact from beginning to end without the advertisements, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you out.
Thank you very much, Chuck. We started the partnership with Limelight thinking about developers. There were 2 requests that we were constantly getting. One, what can we do about latency? Interactivity is amazing, but latency hurts. Can we reduce it? Can we get it less than a second? And we all know that 5G is coming, and it's just going to reduce latency and give expectations to consumers about real-time interactivity. And so they've been a fantastic partner in R&D when it comes to exploring what that means for the future of real-time interactive streaming. The second thing that we keep hearing about is we love Twitch, we want to be on Twitch. We also want to be able to have our own channels and operate it. And what we provide as a technology company is the ability to create that interactivity once and deploy it across different infrastructures depending on your needs. Do you want to control your customer data, control your monetization system, et cetera? We want to be able to give you those options as an interactive streaming engine. So I'm going to conclude today with a very brief video that we prepared showcasing some of the work that we've done here at GDC. And then we're going to take questions in some of the remaining time that we have. I'll bring that over here. Or I won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, the battle is about to begin. Round 1, fight! I don't think this is an even match. I think, wait, a stunning upset right here, ladies and gentlemen. Knockout by the Cyborg Dodo. What a match.
Well, I said we were going to do everything live today, and somehow we made it, so things were working. Thank you. For more information on how to develop in a technical primer, we've got our CTO speaking today at 2 o'clock. Everything is live at our booth, so come on by and play everything. And if you've got any questions, we've got about 8 minutes. Myself or any of the studios, happy to answer. So if all the speakers could come back on stage, that would be great. Anybody wants to ask questions, come on up here. And I think we've got a question mic over there, too. Chuck, if you're...
Oh, now, okay, damn it.
I'll be a lazy one.
So, of course, if you don't want to ask in front of the crowd, you're welcome to come up here and ask us in person. But if there's anything that you're curious about, there's a mic in the front there. And we'll just wait here for the next 2 or 3 minutes before somebody picks up the courage. No. I said we were going to do it all raw.
All right, I got a question. One of the demos that you showed almost made it look like you had multiple stream views going
Yep.
for a single user. Was
Yep.
that supported? That
Yeah.
you could have different, like a top-down view, forward view?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Excellent question. So I'm going to repeat the question. I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to let Hal answer it as well. So the question was, one of the demos showed multiple stream views, and I was asked how that gets supported in Twitch. So I'm going to explain that because we actually did that with Stats Helix already for the Face It CSGO majors, and then I'll talk about how we've been thinking about it with your game. I'll let you jump into that too. So the way that we generate it is we've got a backend that lets you spin up as many game instances as you want. So imagine that you want to have 10 channels. We create 10 streams, and the user swaps between them. And that's exactly what we did at the CSGO event also. So we had 11 channels, each one in with a different player view. The player was able to swap. It loads up Twitch Stream 11 or Twitch Stream 10, and that's how they jump between it. For the purposes of GDC, it's a very big backend to deploy, so we did something simpler, which was we just assumed that we were only going to be demonstrating to one user, and we allowed for real-time swap, which is why you didn't see channel change. But it takes actually less time than waiting for it to swap here, because we have to wait for Twitch latency here, whereas loading up a new stream is less than a second. Hal, if you want to speak to anything too.
And so, and for our title, it is about observation. It's about being able to have situational awareness on who's in the island and being able to get to them as quickly as possible, and also for a few nice glory views as well. So you have the ability to swap between those cameras in order to get that info, to make the decision as to whether or not you wanted to do a drop, or you could actually switch to player follow cams that will happen as well. And last but not least, for folks that simply want to observe these streams, we want to have an AI director cam that will pop between the AI that have the most interesting weighted events about to fire. So this allows players to either take participants to take complete control of their viewports, or to sit back and have a fun experience, allowing our AI director to give them what looks like constructed, scheduled entertainment.
Thank you. That was a really good observation and question.
Thank you.
Hi, I actually had a question regarding, you had your overlays for Counter-Strike and how you could go to your minimap and everything like that. As new games come out in like the FPS scene, like you just have like Apex Legends has exploded kind of out of nowhere, what kind of, I guess, delay do you expect with new interfaces as new games come out?
That's a very good question also. So the question is, there are a variety of different interfaces that are coming, especially in the FPS, but other genres. We saw some examples with CSGO. We also have Apex Legends coming out. So what kind of delay do we anticipate with this? And so there are 3 different types of delay that we need to think about within the chain. The first one is the delay from us getting data from the game. The second one is the delay between Twitch and the user, and the last one is the delay between the user back into the game itself. So I'm going to answer it briefly, and then I'll also let Mort speak about the specific example with Counter-Strike. With Counter-Strike, the first kind of delay we have to think about is delay between our interactive channel and if there's a separate broadcast channel between them. So in the majors, ESL has their channel, and then they also had the premium channel with the interactivity. The delay there was only really the CDN delay that's being generated. In other words, we don't get the information from ESL back to Valve server, then back to us for a few seconds. So there is some time that's generated between them. That doesn't become a problem if the interactive channel and the main broadcast are one, but it is a problem if they are separate. Otherwise, you wouldn't notice it. The second area of delay that I mentioned was between the game and Twitch. That is effectively zero these days. We're primarily on AWS, and so we're able to send it to Twitch really, really fast. There are occasions where the ingest time is taking longer than what we expected. There are interesting things about, so the majority of people send through OBS, right? But we can't really send through OBS or we'll lose all of the data and information channels. So we've been exploring the last few months with formats and bit rates and trying to determine what does and doesn't break Twitch. So that's been a fascinating experience. But that's relatively quick. And then the last one is between the user back into the game itself, which isn't in Counter-Strike, but is in a bunch of the other products that have interactivity. At the end of the day, that's up to the channel that you're running on and whether it's partnered status or not, because partnered channels get much lower latency options than standard ones. And also the user back to the Twitch channel. For the most part, when a user sends a click or a cheer through our system, it goes directly back into our servers and we'll get those back in milliseconds. We generate the image also in milliseconds and we'll send that off to Twitch, but you won't see the reaction for on average 4 to 5 seconds. But we think that, and we know that Twitch and YouTube and the other platforms are improving that, and of course that's the purpose of the partnership with Limelight Networks too. Moritz, did you want to speak anything about the CDN delay that we saw specifically on esports?
Well, I'd like to add one thing. With a lot of the data for esports, it's most important that the data is synchronized very well. The delay really does only matter for secondarily. For example, ESL's delay for the Katowice major was between something happening on stage and on the stream on the main channel was 17 seconds, and nobody complained. So that's not really a big problem with esports because delay only matters if you have a reference. And for Cisco, yes, we took the CDN from Valve, which gave us, I think, about 9 seconds of additional delay. But it was only really noticed because the premium channel was faster than we were, the non-premium channel was faster than we were, which is something that won't happen in future events, hopefully.
Precisely. We need a little bit more assistance from Valve there, but yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise good. And we take care of all the synchronization, so the user will never feel any delay between the UI and the video itself.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you for the question. That was great.
Hey, this may be a bit of a novice question, but how do you see the interplay of platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, now Google, playing or benefiting from the systems that you're building and your partners are building?
Fantastic question. So the question is, how do we think about platforms such as PlayStation, Xbox, even Google's new cloud platform, and how do we interplay with them? So at EVO last year, we debuted a brand new PlayStation 4 console exclusive fighter called Omen of Sorrow with our technology. Their developer is actually one of the Unreal Dev Grant recipients and is there on the floor of Epic's booth. So if you go there and you ask the A1 Games team for Omen of Sorrow about Genvid, they'll show you the Genvid stream that's up and running too. They're a PlayStation 4 console exclusive right now. So the way that it works is we can read through the multiplayer system what's happening on the PlayStation console, replicate that in the cloud, and then stream that out to Twitch. Sony's cool with it. They're aware of it. Microsoft also. It's no issue for us as long as there's a multiplayer server that's handling it securely to get and generate that and bring that over to the cloud. When we think about future cloud experiences, it becomes even more exciting for us because if we don't have to worry about infrastructure costs for deploying a game from a cloud system, because we are mostly cloud deployed right now, in other words, everything that you just saw was running off an AWS server, it reduces overall developer cost and puts that cost back on Google's side. So I'm particularly excited for a lot of the companies shifting toward cloud and reducing it, because from our perspective, as long as the game developer has access to a multiplayer server where they can generate any spectator client, that's all we need to be able to generate the stream out. Did I answer the question successfully, or is there anything else?
Yeah, you did. I guess the what are the threats to that? Like, are there like what is the I guess specific service that you're providing in that sort of go-between between the game itself that's running on the platform and the Twitch stream? What exactly
Sure.
is
So
that
we're
connection?
a middleware
Again,
that's going to
novice
be integrated into the spectator mode build of the game. So long as Sony or Microsoft don't block all of your spectator mode builds, which I don't think that they will, if anything, it's going more open these days, there is no possibility of that being blocked because they have to allow you as a developer to create and generate multiplayer spectator cameras.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you all very much. We've run out of time. It's 11:31, so we're a minute over. I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate everybody coming.